Almost 25 years ago, Dave and I got married at the Naval Academy in Annapolis. We had a small wedding. We actually looked very serious. I think we were both saying how tired we were. Always have been in the Navy life. These are photos when Dave came back from deployment. Thomas was about 3 and Zach was 1. We did have a deployment where our third son was born, so he got to meet John for the first time when he came home from deployment. Homecomings, deployments, they're all very meaningful. Tough to go through, but if you have a good support group and a good spouse to help you get through it too, that helps. It was a Friday that his accident happened.
We hear an event that something exploded on the flight line. We started to see some of the other SAR members that were at the hangar saying, "Hey guys, it's bad, hurry up."
The principal that I worked with came up to me and said, I need to see you at my office.
I didn't have a helmet, I didn't have my normal flight gear, so I'm just running along the flight line.
I immediately thought, oh my gosh, am I in trouble? What did I do?
It was very, very chaotic. There was an airplane that we didn't know how stable it was as it had just exploded. We had 2 very, very injured critical patients.
The emergency medical personnel have to make an immediate decision on how to save his life.
Not only did he sustain such a significant blast injury, but his lungs were collapsed.
They have to decide how to intervene, how to normalize the pressure and allow him to breathe.
There was a calmness that Dave portrayed that you don't frequently see in patients who are involved in such critical events.
As I walked into the office and saw the flight suits, immediately you just know that it's not good.
It was at that point we decided we're going to transport in the back of our MH-60 Nighthawk helicopter. This is an ordinary day for us. This is a call. But this is a little bit different. This is one of the brothers. This is the hangar directly next to us. I don't know who that was. All I know is I cut his flight suit in half and he has holes in his chest now.
I remember very, very clearly seeing the Olympic Mountains off in the distance. And then the next thing I remember is about 3 weeks later when I woke up very confused in the ICU. While I was in the hospital, unable to talk, my doctor came up and they were like, "Hey, Commander, we're gonna have you back doing Ironmans before you know it." And I'm just kind of looking at Monica and she's giving me a shrug.
Just kind of looked at him like, yeah, I think you're doing a full Ironman after this.
I'm like, "I've never done an Ironman." She's like, "Don't worry about it." And then about a week after waking up, I got out of the ICU, off the ventilator. I asked them, "Hey, am I ever gonna walk again?" And they said, "We don't know. Am I ever gonna fly again?" They really had no answers.
2 or 3 weeks after that, I got a phone call from his flight surgeon who called me and said, "Hey, Dave's gonna come home next week." And I said, there's no way.
So I walked in the house. I remember trying to walk up the steps to go say goodnight to the boys and couldn't make it more than a couple steps. And I thought to myself, oh man, I got a lot of work to do if I'm gonna get back healthy for my family, and get back healthy for the Navy.
Hey, what's up, Dunk? How you doing?
Pretty good, dude.
Good. How's everything in London?
The next day, one of my Naval Academy roommates, Matt Dunker, drove me to Island Hospital, and I got to meet Jim.
I got a call that Dave was being referred to our clinic, to pulmonary rehab, and that he was fresh out of the ICU, and don't call him a soldier, he's a sailor. Okay, good to know.
So where was the hallway where we did the test?
Remember that first test that I had to do where I had to walk like in the hallway back and forth? Yeah, from my point of view, that didn't go exceptionally well.
You were definitely gassed. You were definitely gassed at the end of it.
Yeah, I remember this hallway seeming like it was about 100 yards long.
Because I stood there in the hallway and watched and thought, geez, man, you know, like, he may look normal, but he definitely has a long way to go.
A lot of people that have the kind of trauma that he had to his lungs would require supplemental oxygen for the rest of their life.
I was the commanding officer of a E-18G Growler Squadron, the VAQ-132 Scorpions. We're exactly 2 months from going out on deployment. I instantly think like, oh my God, how can a squadron go out on deployment without its skipper, without its commanding officer? Hey, what's going on? Long time no see.
As much as he wanted to do it for the squadron and for us, I know he also wanted to do it for his people that he was working with at the hospital.
I remember doing like the elevation, walking on the elevation, and then one day I'm like, oh, I'm feeling pretty good, and just starting to jog and looking over, and I was like, I think Jim's tearing up a little bit. Why is everybody staring at me? He's like, well, we normally don't have people run on the treadmill.
Maybe 6 weeks later, I got an email of Dave in his flight suit taking his first flight.
To go from nearly dying and wondering if we ever going to walk again until, 2 months later, I'm able to reunite with my squadron. It was just such a credit to the care that I received.
People really, really love coming to Island Health. They stop becoming patients to us, they almost become family.
It's a top-notch medical facility, but even the bigger thing was just how quality the people are at Island Hospital. There were certainly things that they apologized for that they wish that they would have had. I'd regularly have to go up to Bellingham to go see pulmonologists.
I find it very difficult for patients in these situations to have to travel.
When we announced pulmonology was coming into town, I had multiple patients coming up to me like, I just am so glad that I don't have to drive so far to see my specialist.
Our priority was to make sure we had top-notch pulmonologists here on campus, which we do. And now we want to make sure that they have the tools and the space that they need to do the best job they can for our patients.
We love the area, we love the city. To be able to give more back to our community, I think is incumbent upon us all to help.
That's what I always try to tell people is you're not in it alone when something bad happens. That's when you really need to lean on everybody around you.